Chapter 12, One Step Back. Ashley couldn't believe she was already prepping for winter. It was only October, but she knew the cold and snow would be here before she knew it. Winter was always worrisome for her. When the weather changed, the pastures turned from green and lush, a perfect place to graze, to dry, cold, and bare. That meant Ashley had to rely on hay as the main source of food for her animals. Between the end of November and the beginning of April, she'd need about $25,000 in hay, and this was on top of all the other bills. The bill for Cumber would be much smaller, a little over $2,000, but it was just as important. For the past few months, Cumber had been visiting the vet every 10 days to have his legs recast. The cast provided support while straightening his legs and strengthening his muscles. But his legs were only getting a little bit stronger, definitely not strong enough to hold him up without any support. Ashley knew she had to find another solution, and fast. They'd had a scare just a little while ago that she didn't want to relive again. Cumber's cast had just been replaced, and the veterinarian was ready to wake him up from anesthesia. Ashley was sitting on a bench in the waiting room, like usual, but the door to the waiting room burst open. Cumber didn't wake up like he usually does. He stopped breathing. We're going to try to bring him back. Ashley was in shock. Cumber had trouble with more than just his legs. He had issues with his internal organs as well, including a heart murmur. That meant his heart made unusual noises in between heartbeats, which could be a sign of something serious. Go, 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 Ashley thought. She was frozen in place on the bench. The veterinarian returned to Cumber's room quickly. A few minutes later, the door opened. He's breathing again. Let's just make sure to give him a few minutes so we can make sure he's okay. The vet eventually brought Cumber to the waiting room as usual, but he was very sluggish and just seemed to want to lie down. Ashley could tell that he was exhausted. He had almost died. I'm too terrified to bring him home, Ashley said. If we have an emergency, I'm 2 hours away, and he could die in the time that it takes to get here. The veterinarian agreed. Cumber would spend the night, just in case. Ashley could pick him up in the morning. The little foal ended up recovering perfectly fine, but Ashley didn't want Cumber to have to go under anesthesia ever again. Luckily now he was a little older and stopped growing so quickly, he could get braces. They would offer him support just like the cast did, but allow him to move more. Surgery would have caused him too much pain, and he wouldn't have been able to bend his leg from the knee down. But braces were the perfect solution. Derek was willing to help out again. Making the braces took a lot of time and hard work, so Ashley would need to raise a couple $1,000s first. This first pony is definition of a fighter. He doesn't let anything slow him down, and he continues to adapt to his casts. Ashley posted to her supporters, for Cumber, this is all he's ever known. He doesn't know he's any different physically. Let's keep pushing forward for him so that he can continue to improve his quality of life. She then added a photo of Cumber and Deacon. For Halloween, Deacon had dressed himself as Batman and Cumber as Superman. He'd had a cape and everything. He's a superhero for sure. They both are, Ashley thought. She hoped the photo would help inspire some supporters to donate money. Cumber needed all the help he could get. She walked outside to check on the little foal. It was a sunny day. She found him lying in the dirt on his side with his head resting inside a red bowl. He looked pretty happy, but she'd have to teach him that napping on your lunch was not proper horse behavior. Pumpkin had the sniffles. Her 3 legs were feeling better, but her nose was stuffed. Just last week it was nice and warm, but this week it was freezing. Everyone was talking about the snow today. Pumpkin would have liked to see it. She and her mom were still living in the pen at the hospital. They did get to go outside for walks, but she missed running around with the boy. Lately, someone was taking time to rub her legs and back, which always made her feel great afterward. The people who visited her told her she looked amazing. Did that mean she could go home soon? She had one more leg they needed to fix. What were they waiting for? Pumpkin's surgery was supposed to happen in early November, but it was delayed because she caught a cold. The surgery would have to wait until December. Even something as small as a runny nose can delay a surgery. We want to make sure the animal is 100% healthy before an operation, Ashley told her supporters. They were all anxious to hear how Pumpkin was doing and when her final surgery would happen. Ashley wished she had better news to share, but the veterinarians assured Ashley that Pumpkin would be okay. The temperature had changed quickly, which was probably what made her sick. It went from being really warm to freezing all of a sudden. Now there was snow, and it was only mid November. Ashley knew that Pumpkin was getting great care. In addition to the surgeries, the massages and physical therapy were helping her heal and making her stronger. In just 2 weeks, her hunchback had straightened out. It was amazing. She looked so different. But all these delays were driving up the expenses. Ashley would have to ask her supporters for more money. Pumpkin's hospital bills were more than $20,000 now. Realistically, it looked as though Pumpkin and Thea wouldn't be home until after the new year, but home might look a lot different by then. Ashley had been on the hunt for a new property for a few months now. Everything she'd seen so far had been too expensive. In the meantime, she had to rent a property to find space for all her new rescues. Now she was traveling to 3 different places every day, and it was just too much work. She needed to make a decision soon. Even Deacon was getting annoyed with all the driving. He wanted to bring Gia or Brown with him while they hung out at the other properties so he'd have someone to play with, but their dogs were too big to easily travel with in the car. Ashley had to find a larger property where everyone could live happily together, and she needed to do it